Hey there hunters, Lord here, back with another Monster Hunter video. In today's video, I want to cover 5 features from older Monster Hunter games that I personally would like to see return in future Monster Hunter titles. Whether that be in the upcoming Monster Hunter 6 or further down the line, at any given time I think these making a next-gen comeback would be awesome. Now I do want to say this is my personal opinion, so don't get upset if I don't include something that you liked from the older games, or if I do include something that you didn't like. If there is something that you want to see return that doesn't make my list, be sure to comment down below what that is. So starting off first is everyone's favorite 3rd gen feature, underwater combat. Whether you loved or hated this back in Tri and 3U, I think we can all agree that the way it was implemented was clunky and left a lot to be desired. Now sure, I think the older hardware like the Wii and 3DS probably were limiting factors in underwater combat's full potential, but I would say that with modern engines and current generation hardware like the PS5, your current series Xboxes, and high-end PCs, a much more in-depth and intuitive underwater combat system could definitely be developed and be much more universally enjoyed than its 3rd generation counterpart. Secondly, I think the return of Prowler would be awesome in a future game. For those of you not familiar, Prowler was a feature that allowed you to control your feline as though it was your hunter. This calls back to 4th generation Monster Hunter being originally introduced in Generations. As a Prowler, you had better movement, you got 2 feints before it counted as a cart, you didn't need things like paintballs or drinks, you could use a ton of Prowler exclusive skills. For example, you could use Emergency Exit, which allowed you to be invincible while digging, giving you another way to avoid monsters and their attacks. All this and tons more. It added great variety to the style of play or how you could choose to approach a hunt. I would definitely love to see this revisited and expanded on in a future Monster Hunter game. Now next, and a little controversially, I would like to see negative skill points for armors return. This was in most of the older games, calling back to even the 1st generation of Monster Hunter. This was a way to balance out full sets, as running something with attack boosts like the Rathalos armor in, say, Freedom Unite would give you plus 20 to attack, which gave you attack up large, but you had minus 10 to paralysis, meaning that if you did get paralyzed, the duration was doubled. Another example would be the Fatalis Z armor, again from Freedom Unite, which gave you plus 10 to Fury, which gave you Emboldened, which gave you Guts and Adrenaline plus 2. You also got Artisan for extra sharpness, however, you had minus 15 to your recovery speed. This meant your red health recovered only half as fast as normal. This made you really have to pay attention to your sets, oftentimes mixing them to get your large positive effects without stacking enough of a single negative effect to actually proc a negative skill. The most recent games have really only had positive skills, and I think bringing back negative skills would spice up set making and be a fun way to differentiate a future Monster Hunter title from some of the 5th gen games. 4th, I think that we need to get to the removal of being able to restock at camp. Now this does make endgame of a title like Sunbreak a bit harder to pull off because you can't just slap 100,000 or more health on a solo monster for endgame content anymore, but with that being said, I think the restock system makes the Hunter's pouch limit seem entirely unnecessary if you can just fast travel or Farcaster back to camp at the press of a button and immediately be full up again. Something about having to change your playstyle based on your health and how much healing you had really made those older gen hunts a lot more adrenaline inducing. There's nothing like getting slapped up for a bunch of the fight and just managing to pull it out with 1 or 2 potions left at the end, hitting that Super Saiyan mode where you just feel like you're dodging everything and you're hitting all the windows just right because you have to. There's no other option. That's quintessential Monster Hunter in my opinion, and I think it's a great way to get a little bit of that older gen feel for all us veterans who like to complain that the new games are too easy, but without going back to, clunky rolling and bad hitboxes. Finally, my last older gen feature that I'd love to see make a new gen return is of course Deviants. Now I'm not 100% sure on the etymology here, but as best I know, variants, subspecies, and deviants are all different. Subspecies are monsters with different behavior, elements, or colors. Examples of subspecies include things like Coral Puke Puke, Brute Tigrix, Pink Rathian, or Azure Rathalos. Now variants are more like mutated versions, like a stronger individual of a species. Examples of variants include things like Rusted Kushala, Savage Deviljho, Furious Rajang, Raging Brachydios, Crimson Glow Valstrax, Ruiner Nergigante, and many more. Now, Deviants are much more powerful style of variant, as far as I know. If I'm incorrect, you guys can let me know down below. But a Deviant is like a variant that has survived many attempts at being hunted or crazy environmental extremes. Deviants were introduced in the 4th generation as well, and included brutal fights such as Hellblade Glavenus, Dread King and Dread Queen Wraths, Thunderlord Zinogre, Bolt Reaver Astalos, Soulseer Mizutsune, Elderfrost Gammoth, and many others. In total, I think there were about 18 Deviants introduced between Generations and Gen Ultimate, and I would love to see what the devs could come up with for Deviants of some of the New World monsters. I think this would lead to some really awesome monsters, challenging fights, and some of the most insane endgame sets that we've ever seen. So, of these 5, which do you think is the most likely to make a comeback in future games? And what other features that I didn't include would you love to see make a next generation return? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. That's going to do it for this video, guys. If you did enjoy, be sure to leave a like down below, as it's super appreciated and a free way to support the channel. If you're new here or liked what you saw, do consider subscribing for more Monster Hunter content. And with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I wish you all a good day and happy hunting.